fake to McCaffrey on the boot. Kittle's in the end zone, but he's covered. Purdy keeps it alive and floats it in there. Touchdown. Threw it up for grabs, and it somehow found Brandon Ayuk for the score.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Okay, that was Joe Davis on Fox. Be honest, and I will too. When he did that, were you like, great throw, right over the hands of the defender? Or were you like, dummy, got away with that one?
Yeah, the latter.
Okay.
The latter. I mean,
in the moment, it was jump out of the couch, and I'm like, that was an amazing throw. And then they showed it again, and I'm like, ooh, that defender just got locked in a moment where he wasn't
pushed.
Well, no, he and Kittle were locked up, and he couldn't get off the ground. If he could get off the ground at all, he's picking that thing off.
There were two defenders.
There were. One of them was not really in the line of the
Kittle was locked up with the one, and then the other one was kind of there, and Ayuk gave him just a little bit of a nudge before he could jump. But my immediate thought was, oh, my God, he got away with that one. And then, when you hear Kyle postgame talking about, how, I'm going to paraphrase, but like, don't do that again, basically, is kind of the hilarious part of that.
He said it was among the worst decisions he's made since he got here.
Yeah.
That covers 2 years.
Yeah.
He'd been in the building for almost 2 full seasons now, and that might have been the worst decision that he's ever made.
Touchdown.
Touchdown
49ers. But and I don't know where the play was originally supposed to go, but he buys time and he gets out of the pocket. And that's one of those classic moments where you want him to just maybe tuck it.
Just run.
Get 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You had room toward the sideline.
He's quick enough. He might, and I don't want him getting in the open field and taking hits, but you never know. He might have juked the guy. He might have gotten in. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, just get down to the 5-yard line and
sure.
You know what I mean?
What you can get and live to fight another day. But, instead he rolls left and it was not exactly on a rope. That thing was floated.
No, and it was back across the field. Like,
oh, God, terrible.
Don't do that. He did that in the game against Cincinnati. It's more forgivable because you're like, dude, you're down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
Mess around. I think it might have been 3rd or 4th down. Mess around, see what happens. Don't do that on the opening drive of the game.
When you're driving.
Right. Here's Kyle.
Yeah, that was honestly one of, I can say this because he played well, but that was like one of his worst decisions I think he's made since he's been here, and it took me a while to get over it. I thanked him for the touchdown, but that was not a good decision, and he was fortunate with it. He made a lot of really good plays, and if you are going to make a bad decision and it's still a touchdown, in the grand scheme of things, he can tell me it was a real good decision, but I know we can't. He knows that. He knows what he did wrong.
Yep, there's the same line that he used on Steve Wilkes a couple of weeks ago. He knows he can't do
that. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God.
And he did. Look, that's going to be the honesty of Kyle Shanahan, and I've grown to actually appreciate it a little bit. I'm not going to turn around and suddenly say I'm glad he said what he said about Steve Wilkes 2 weeks ago. That felt a little over the skis, if you will. But I also will add this. I think too often in sports, we say, stop with the cookie-cutter answers. Stop telling me, oh, we do one game at a time and we're on to Cincinnati. You're boring us to tears. And then when you get someone who will actually be honest and direct with you and say some things, we go, oh, don't say that. You're not allowed to say that. Don't say that in front of a microphone. That's rude. Somebody may not like it. So we got to pick our poison here. Give me the honest Kyle Shanahan who will step in the mud once or twice a year over Bill Belichick, who never gives you anything.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing, though. It doesn't have to be black or white. And
no.
You can give honest answers like that answer he gave to Brock Purdy. It's great. It's honest. And, many of us who saw that throw thought the same thing, which is like, that's not a good throw. And it resulted in a touchdown, which is good. Touchdown's good, interception's bad, but you don't want to have him get in that habit of making that throw. What he said about Steve Wilkes was unnecessary in terms of turning all of our attention on a defensive coordinator where it otherwise would not have been on a defensive coordinator.
I agree with that. Yeah. And again, I'm still more surprised by it than sort of angered by it, and it makes me wonder what else was going on in there. But as you know, You go out there on the road and beat somebody by 31 points, ain't nobody care about anything anymore.
Right. And now that Steve's on the sidelines, problem solved. So, I mean, that's all it took, Mark. That's all it took.
Until Sunday. Until a new chapter gets written in the book. And then we'll see what we think then.
Well, the fact that was a story as opposed to the real story is, hey, defense, play better. And they're fresher. And you got Chase Young and Dre Greenlaw felt better. And you took one of your defensive liabilities off the field.
Yes.
And so you put better defensive players on the field who were well rested and ready to go. Forget where the defensive coordinator is standing or sitting.
It's not about where he's standing, and that's my point. The comment that he made, I think, suggested that there were some things where there were disagreements in this pairing, and that's okay. The bye week may have helped that. It feels to me like Shanahan went in there and they tightened some screws on some things and maybe got on the same page a little bit. You're referring to Isaiah Oliver, who only had 3 snaps out there. They got him the heck off of the field. Well, Isaiah Oliver, according to reports, was somebody in the preseason and the offseason who Steve got on a table and said, this is my guy. That's who we want. We want Isaiah Oliver. And it has not been a good move. So I don't know if Kyle stepped in and said, actually, we're going to do Ambry Thomas and move Lenore. And it's not like they were perfect either in this football game. You're coming down to the sideline. Oliver's going to the bench.
He's going to the booth. Yeah. They traded spots.
That
Mark.
where Oliver was?
Yeah. Steve to the sideline.
Oliver to the booth. Perfect. Yeah. Whatever. That works better. And we're also going to acquire Chase Young. It's like anything else, man. There's no one thing that caused that. There are a bunch of things that caused that. But the comfort level as a 49er fan to look at that and go, okay, that's still in there. That's what you're going to look like when you're at your best. That calms everything. I don't ask for perfection from a season or from players. But when you're at your best, that's you got to be dominant. And they were. That, to me, puts them right back. I don't care about the Super Bowl right now. It just puts them right back on the pedestal, on the plane, as one of the best teams in football.
I don't think they've ever left that.
Probably not, but they needed to show it. They needed to do it once a month.
And to your point from last week, if you lose to Jacksonville, does it inject questions about whether or not you belong on that pedestal? I think it might have. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you panic, but at 5-4 with 4 straight losses as opposed to 6-3 with a good post-bye road win, and that's a good win. Even though you didn't get a chance to rest Christian McCaffrey as much as you probably would have if he wasn't going for the record. And 1st and goal at the 10, you give him the ball 4 straight times, or you tried to anyway.
Yeah, throw it to him, whatever. Yeah.
1st and goal at the 10, he runs it. 2nd and goal from the 9, it's a pass to him. 3rd and goal from the 3, he runs it. And 4th and goal from the 5 in a 34-3 game, instead of going for the field goal and letting Jake Moody feel good about himself, you go back to McCaffrey one more time to try to get him the record. Dicey.
Yeah,
it's dicey.
Yeah, I mean, the game was in hand. It's not like they were going to
so you're trying to run it up. You're trying to rub Dougie P's nose in it.
I don't think that was that at all. I think Dougie P probably would have done, knowing him, he probably would have done the exact same thing.
Little Philly special.
You take care of your guys. And I would bet that Kyle, on the handshake after the game, was like, that was a Christian exception. They're not throwing the ball into the end zone up 34-3 if it wasn't a special circumstance. Right. And I'm sure every coach in America would understand that. What I didn't love about it was not, oh gosh, he got hit again. He's a football player. He's going to take hits. What I don't love about it is that you took the risk, and I would have. It's like, oh gosh, is that the same as if he had actually earned the record within the framework of regular play in the second quarter? Because let's be honest, what you just said, they're not calling those plays if it weren't for those circumstances. So then it's not within the framework of regular play, and that takes a little something away from it. For me, like you made it all about the record, but the record is actually about doing it within the framework of football.
It still is in the framework of football.
Yeah.
This is different than, bringing an injured player on the court to make a basket with no one guarding them. That's a different story. This is still football.
Yeah, but if they had done this every week in order to get to this point, you wouldn't love it. Like, if they've won a lot of blowouts.
Yeah.
But at the end of the game, they're like, okay,
he needs one.
The last 5 minutes is Christian time, and we're going to play Christian ball. Forget all of this other stuff. We're just going to give the ball to Christian McCaffrey no matter what. You'd be like, this is hokey. What are we doing?
Well, I already don't love it because you had Eli Mitchell in the game, and you were resting most of your other starters, and then you're going to bring Christian McCaffrey back in and risk his life and limb for this record, which I guess it's a record, but it's not a hallowed record.
That's a pretty interesting record.
It's only interesting because we have a player going for it.
Well, but it obviously mattered to him. It obviously mattered.
Sure.
Or else they wouldn't have done it.
Right. And I'm sure, what matters more to him, the Super Bowl or this record?
I would hope the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
I would hope.
But I don't think their mindset is such that I'm going to go out there for 4 more plays and it means I'm going to miss the Super Bowl.
You might risk your entire season. It's football. You're the one who says it all the time.
No, I know, but
you could get hurt on any play.
Right, but that's why they don't think that way.
Right.
If they thought that way, they wouldn't play football.
But Kyle's supposed to think that way.
I get it. Believe me, there's no doubting. There's no doubting that if he had gotten hurt on one of those plays,
right?
Oh my gosh, it would have been our whole show. It would have been our whole show.
What if he gets hurt and scores on the same play?
They were willing to take that risk.
Sure.
By nature, they are risk takers.
Big time.
Would I have done it? Probably not, but I am running the damn show.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Doesn't bother me because it worked out.
He didn't get the record, but he stayed. He survived it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to Jonathan in the city. Let's take some of your calls. 888-957-9570. Hey, Jonathan, what's up? What are you doing?
Hey, man, just having a late brunch. I just want to say, man, I don't know which one's which, but is it being able to high-five your defensive coordinator or the addition of Chase Young? I think it's the addition of Chase Young. What a beautiful, beautiful, strong first impression. If this is the guy that unlocks the potential of the D-line, man, it's time to build on that win. I would like to see an encore this coming Sunday and just keep getting better and peak at the right time. I'm so excited, man, because this team is going to go to the promised land, but the D-line is the one that has to lead the way because defense wins championships. Let's go Niners.
Jonathan, thank you. I've been saying it over and over again. Whether you agree with it or not, there are a number of ways to build a football team. The 49ers have decided to build it from the defensive line out. That, to them, is where they want to be devastatingly talented. And so I think the addition of Chase Young has actually been underrated because now if they're going to be fresh, if they're going to be healthy, and I know there are more than just those 4 guys, but mainly those 4 guys. If those 4 guys are going to be at the height of their powers, I would love to see which NFL team is going to handle that. That was devastating. You can't double anybody. You can't do – I don't know what you can do. Maybe the Eagles will have the answer. We'll see. Their offensive line's amazing.
Yeah.
But to watch those 4 guys work together and look like that in Chase Young's first effort out there, incredibly encouraging.
Very encouraging. Yeah. And, fresh off the bye, which is definitely a part of it. And you add Chase Young, so you're right. You can't double everybody. You move Nick Bosa inside on a couple of plays. You went 5 defensive linemen right away, opening snap on defense. You went 5 D linemen, which I think is an interesting look that they've seen on the other side. And I wonder if you might not see that more from this Niner team. You can play a little 5-2-4. You can still play Greenlaw and Fred Warner, and you play your 4 DBs. And then they went into a couple of sets where they had 5 D linemen and 1 linebacker, and then they had the 5 DBs behind that. I think it does give you a little bit more versatility without sacrificing your frontline guys. You can play Chase Young and Armstead and Bosa and the Gravedigger, and then you can maybe even throw in another guy in there, Kinlaw in the middle, or you can put in another edge if you want, and you can do a lot more diverse things with the D-line.
Yeah, I thought this was among, and maybe, again, this all works in concert, but Hargrave was fantastic yesterday.
Yeah?
He was fantastic. I thought maybe his best game as a 49er. But yes, as it always does, it all works in concert. We love to point at individuals And football doesn't work that way. We love to go, Brock Purdy's not doing this and Nick Bosa's not doing that. Wah, wah, wah. But it doesn't work that way. The whole thing is a concert. It's actually the beauty of football. Looking at an all-22 and watching it's concerto. The whole thing is it's unbelievable the way it all works together. And if pieces of that are not working, the other ones won't either. I don't care who your quarterback is. Don't block for him. Have a good time. Brady and Montana can both be back there, and you won't get a throw off. So it's all got to work together. And for me, I'm not even just talking this year. Last handful of years of 49er football, that was among the best defensive line performances I've ever seen.
It was nasty. You had 6 different guys get a QB hit. 6 different ones.
Dude, they were incredible.
You look at Bosa, and he had a sack. He had a pass batted down.
Second half.
He had a forced fumble and a fumble recovered on the same play.
Yep.
And so all the talk about Nick Bosa, where's he been? He was incredible. And even on plays where he didn't get home again, you had Armstead get a sack, and Cleveland Ferrell got one, and Hargrave in the middle got some, and Chase Young got a half, and everybody was getting to be a part of it. And there were plays where they had 10 guys on the line of scrimmage, and other plays where they had 7 up, and it looked like they're going to rush 7, and then they dropped 4 out of that, and they rushed 3, or they rushed 4, they dropped 3. Trevor Lawrence was confused, and the O-line was more confused, and that's why they were able to pressure on almost every passing down.
And we talked about stopping the run, and ETN was a complete and total non-factor. I know the screen game got the Niners for a little bit. They're feeling like in the second quarter, but outside of that, you just could not do anything. Calvin Ridley never even got started in this game. Christian Kirk had a little bit, but nothing was over the top. There were only, maybe 4 or 5 plays all game long that the Jags conducted where you were like, come on, no, stop him, that lasted more than like 2 seconds. These plays were just, they started and they were over. So total dominance.
Yep.
Monster Monday brought to you by First 5 California. To learn 4 things you can do to overcome toxic stress, go to first5california.com. Let's keep hearing it. Rich in Fremont. Hey, you're next up. What's up, Rich? What are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm at work. Basically, I work for Atco Pest Control. I want to chime into my inner Dan Dibley. Look. I contacted Steiny and Guru last week, and on Thursday told them that this game was had by the Niners. I told them it was going to be 26-10. Okay, I was off on the score, but I knew the Niners were going to win that. And I know I had no proof, but I do know that I did call in, okay? So my point is this. The pass to Kittle. That was just brilliant. Okay, that was absolutely brilliant. And once again, what are we looking at? We're looking at a resurgence of Brock Purdy. Why? Because if you guys remember, I called you. I told you about when you're making a dish, you got to have all the ingredients. Okay, and they had those 3 losses. They didn't have all the ingredients. Now in this game, they had all the ingredients. Plus, they added agreement with Chase Young. So now, what do you have? Now you have a resurgent team that's been rested. And that's the reason why that game happened the way they did. And by the way, shout out to Ambry Thomas. You know, the referees took that away from him. But I tell you something, this kid, in my opinion, has just improved year after year. I remember when he first came in, he wasn't looking that good, and everybody was doubting. But hey, he grabbed that interception. If they don't call that penalty, that's the interception, man. Okay? Nice job by Ambry Thomas. Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, thank you, Rich.
Let's be fair, Rich. The refs didn't take it away from him. Kyle Shanahan took it away from him. Stay on the sideline, coach. There are pro football players doing pro football things. That's why the flag was thrown.
Yeah, you're talking about the fumble. He called an interception. That was a fumble recovery. Yeah,
exactly. So the refs didn't take it away from him. The fact that half the team was on the field is why that was a penalty.
Although I will say, sometimes stuff like this happens and it's situational awareness. I'm not ripping anybody here. The whole reason the play happened that way is because the Jags thought the ball was out of bounds also. So did the Niners. Everybody on the field, save about 2 or 3 people, thought the ball went out of bounds and was a dead ball. There were a couple of Jaguar players standing right next to him. And they're just like, okay, we'll walk off the field. That's the end of that. So I'm not going to expect the Niners sideline to have that awareness because the people on the field didn't either. So my only question was this. Maybe you can answer it. If you're going to call the penalty, doesn't it nullify the entire play? And I know that you're going to say, well, that's sort of, it's post-change of possession.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that, like, you don't normally see that unless it's a dead ball foul. In other words, unsportsmanlike conduct.
Untrue.
Yeah,
that's untrue.
Well, okay, explain.
So if there's an interception and I'm returning it, and Dre Greenlaw comes over and cracks back on somebody and goes helmet to helmet and throws a block.
But that's after the change of possession.
Exactly. So was this.
Well, not really. The Niners ran out on the field because they thought the play was over. The ball is just now being picked up by Ambry as those players are on the field. You still see them out there as he returns. I'm just saying, that's a gray area whether possession had actually changed when the Niners came on the field.
Normally when a ball is loose and the play is stopped for whatever reason, they will award the ball to the team that picked it up anyway. You know, you see this a lot when a ball is caught and then fumbled, and then they have to go to review.
Well, if there's a whistle, there has to be a clear recovery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in this case, there was no whistle to stop play.
Because the refs knew.
But there was a penalty to stop play, but it didn't stop play, but it was a penalty. So because change of possession was going to happen anyway, they just instituted the penalty or initiated it after the fact.
Trevor Lawrence was hilarious on that play, by the way. Give that kid a little extra something for that hustle, but it was like, dude, you hit him 6 yards into the end zone.
Totally.
If someone had done that to Trevor, they'd have been thrown out of the game. But
that's what we do.
Just want to put that out there.
Sure.